Great. How are you?
I am doing so good. I'm so excited to do this interview with you. Thank you so much for taking some time out to do this.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I was thinking about how you could have gotten on my email list, and I think it was the time where I had a 5-day challenge
Uh-huh.
and we were having problems with it. And I talked to a couple of people, and you got on Zoom with me at like 5 a.m. your time and helped me, which was like totally amazing. First of all, like left such a great impression. But yeah, I figured that's probably how you got in there. I thought that was a little
Good.
fun.
Well, I'm still on it, so I read it. I read it whenever it comes in. When I first saw you, I felt like your branding felt very like internet marketer. So I love that you serve local businesses because that is my favorite type of business. That is like so who we want to impact.
Absolutely. No, that is my mission as well. And obviously, I know that you guys have a big part of that. You know, all your snapshots are for different local bricks and mortar types of businesses.
Yeah.
So, do you guys even really work with that many e-commerce type of brands? I mean, I've used it in small ways with, I really have only ever had a handful of like e-com style clients. But I'm like, man, you know, they don't get to experience all the cool stuff about Highlevel.
Well, I mean, not really. And people sometimes will say things like, well, why don't you guys go into e-com more and things like that? And it's not like I'm opposed to it, but you know what? I just think about it like a business owner. Like if someone said to me, you need to go start a small business tomorrow, I would have a hard time thinking of an e-com business I would feel comfortable starting, because how is it that a zillion other people, I think it's because I used to be in retail. I used to be, well, kind of. I had an online women's shoe store called soulstruck.com.
Nice.
And we literally, this was like in the days when Zappos was going crazy. And, I used to fly to New York twice a year and Vegas all the time, buying women's shoes. I can't tell you how many times I had to choose like a color. Like, who the heck am I to be choosing?
That's
like,
so funny.
those kitten heels are going to be huge this year, right? Oh yeah, that Western boot. Oh, that's coming back. Don't worry. What? Huh? Or like, oh, that new Jessica Simpson line. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, that kind of thing. So, anyways, that was like my life for 10 years.
A far leap from what you're doing now.
Totally, right? But I literally had the answering service at the time it basically was the cash. Like it just made so much money.
Yeah.
That we were able to run around doing stupid things like that. And really looking back on it, that business never made a dime. We literally, would be like almost like by the time you shipped out the shoes and you paid UPS and so I guess from an e-com perspective, I always think about that experience and I'm like, dude, what would you do in e-com today to make a dime? So I'm kind of like, if I was going to start a business, I'd be like a local service business, right? Like those people are still competitive.
They are. And, it's been so sad to see so many of them struggling in the last year with different regulations and lockdowns. And, they honestly need more help than ever before. And I feel like it's a great opportunity for your platform as well, because what you guys are able to help them do saves manpower, allows the people on their team to focus on more important things while these things are still being done. And I mean, from a sales perspective, that's one of the biggest benefits that I've been able to pass on to my clients, is that most of them, they have no real sales process. They're not tracking leads. They have no attribution at all. And so they don't know what's working and what's not, and they miss so much revenue. And just the simple act of using the pipeline and tracking everything from start to finish and really getting clear on the different stages, like such a tiny thing in terms of what the platform as a whole does, but it's been amazing for them to really have a clear picture for the first time ever. So I was an in-house marketing director for like local remodeling, home improvement retailers and things like that for a long time. So definitely just saw a lot of the internal problems and had to kind of like piece all of this stuff together.
Totally.
I was pretty much doing all of this stuff like 5-6 years ago.
Right.
I was using like 8 programs. It was such a headache. And so this is, I mean, I'm a huge fan of.
You know what I'm excited about this year? I'm really pumped about the Google My Business stuff. There's a big push from Google. So like on our side, we launched Google My Business messaging integration next month.
Awesome.
So and we're on the beta. So I'm like sitting around in the nerdy like developer groups but the Google team is there. Yeah. And their thing is they're going to come hard with this. So they're going to put it on the desktop search results.
Awesome.
All the map pack is going to switch to messaging. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think there's going to be this massive push to messaging. So I think really rolling out a SaaS product for that and giving agencies the ability to resell it is going to be huge this year.
Yeah, I agree. We're already doing that. And the
Good.
messaging side of it is super hard to get any automation. It's still such a manual thing. So I think that's going to be amazing.
And then the
Um,
web chat stuff. Are you deploying web chat yet?
no, not really. I mean, I
Wait
just try
till
and get everybody's text message
Well, so
phone
here's the
number.
thing. So wait, so tomorrow it should launch. Worst case, it'll be like Monday, but we have a huge upgrade coming to chat. Are you familiar with Podium?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as Podium.
Awesome.
Because the way I think about this is like, why doesn't every agency roll into every local business and first of all, just sell Podium? Like just say, hey, listen, you want free leads? Great. Web chat on your website, two-way business text messaging, reputation management. Let's just knock that out for you, right? $200 a month, something like that. And I think that's a really easy thing to do. And the number of free leads businesses get just from the web chat widget alone pays for itself,
Yeah.
right? And then the agency can grow on top of that.
It's an amazing loss leader offer. I love it.
Yeah.
So you clearly have a lot of tech coding type of
Yeah, I'm
experience.
definitely a nerdy engineer guy. That's
So
me.
honestly, I didn't know a ton about your background, and so I just checked out your LinkedIn profile, and clearly that's like a big part of what you've done. How did you get into that? Did you start when you were young, or
Oh
where
yeah,
did that?
yeah. So my mom gave me an Apple IIe. I'm old, so you have to sort of date
Well,
this.
you look great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so I just I got into computers early. My mom, I think she was an engineer, and she sort of, I don't know, somehow foresaw the future would be about computers. And
Yeah.
lucky for me, I love them. And I just got into them early, and it kind of fascinated me for some reason. And
Yeah.
I ran away with it, and it was fun. Maybe I was no good at athletics, so maybe that was the natural conclusion.
I probably should have been into computers when I was younger. It's so funny because I didn't even discover really like my passion for technology until I was about 20. I was going to school to be a nurse, and I decided I did not want to do that. I could not work in a hospital. Like that was like, it would drain my soul.
I bet.
And so I just started trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with my life before I switched colleges again. And so I had this idea for a dog clothing company, which
Ooh.
I swear to you, I'm still going to do it one day.
I was going to say, I actually think that idea was just a bit premature. I think
It
these
was.
days it's going to be, I think it's a huge hit. Keep on it.
Well, so it's called Pimped Out Pups for those
That's
who love
amazing.
doggy style. So it's like play on words, funny, like pop
People are going to
culture.
love that.
So, I mean, it's so hilarious because I still have like all the designs I made when I was like 20 years old. And so I got Corel Draw and I started playing with it. And I realized I love graphic design. So then I went back to school for design and marketing. And I coded my first website in one of my classes, and I did it for that website. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. But then I tried to get it into retail, and I was like, manufacturing and all this different stuff.
Super
and it
hard,
seemed so enormous, and in all honesty, like part of me, I feel like that could be an e-commerce idea with some merit because it's different, and it's really like the brand is a huge part of it, but totally different than what I'm doing right now. And seems like a lot of work, but I really wish that I had started to get into that earlier, because when I was 20, I literally called myself computer illiterate. Like I've always been a writer, so I just would write on docs and things like that, but that's about as far as I went. And now, I'm very naturally good at technology. So if I had just kind of gotten into that earlier, I feel like it could have been a game changer. But I think that's awesome. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and so trying to like think of ways to just plant different seeds and see what she latches
tough. I have
onto.
an 8-year-old, so I totally know how that goes. I also think women, especially up to now, have been very discouraged at pursuing technical paths, right? I mean, my mom was a mechanical engineer in the 70s, and when it was unheard of for women to be in that pursuit. But even as I grew up and as I went to college and I went to pursue computer science, I mean, there was probably like 400 guys and maybe like 10 girls. It wasn't cool for a girl to do that. And what I love about this generation is I think there's a big sea change, right? I think women are being encouraged to do everything, which is how it always should have been to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, hopefully, when your 4-year-old daughter grows up, no one's ever going to say, "Oh, well, you can't do that." And I think that's awesome. I think there's going to be a lot more women in technology, so I think that's really positive.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to hear your thoughts on really just where you see technology going in the future and maybe
Sure.
like ideas of what you might want to do, because clearly you are, I mean, you could stop right now and you would, have a very amazing career, but clearly with all the new features that are always coming into Highlevel, which I love so much because you guys are always listening to your users and you're really on the cutting edge of, giving people more in the same package, which love the new email feature that just came out. Super awesome. I've been using HTML code for all my emails.
Good.
Um,
I'm happy that we're going to fix that for you.
I love it. I mean, it's been working for me so far, but this makes it even easier. So you're clearly of the mindset that you always want to keep doing more and improving and trying to take it to the next level. So, where do you see things going, whether it's for Highlevel, the program, or for yourself personally?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I am really focused in the small business world. I'm very passionate about helping small businesses. And I think the reason why is because they're really good corporate citizens. I mean, small business owners pay their employees more. They're innovators by nature. They enrich the communities in which they exist. We do not want a world full of massive mega corporations. That's just not how the world would work, right? I mean,
I know.
And examples that, like, I think of things like Tesla Motors. Love Elon Musk or hate the guy. Ultimately, had he not shown up and pushed the envelope, all of these other car manufacturers who now have come to like, oh, we're so electrified, they wouldn't exist and they would have never gone that direction had a small business at the time, Tesla Motors, come along and push that envelope. And so that's a great example of a small business that I think is changing the world. And I think there are many others that you just don't hear about or know about. So all that to say, I want to take the rest of my career and dedicate it towards helping small business owners. And when I look at those people and ask myself, well, why is it that they don't succeed, or why is it that it's hard for them to compete? It's technology, right? So technology has been the theme and will be the theme for a very long time to come. And if you look at technology, it's effectively just like, it's a tool like any other. But but these small business owners don't have the time and energy often to learn and implement these tools. And so for me, it's about how do we come along and create all of the features that these larger corporations have, and either utilizing the skills of agencies, which I think is incredibly important, to try to help them bridge the gap between the tool and its implementation, and then also using automation as much as possible as well to bring those two themes together and help those small businesses prevail. I do think that the automation piece will continue to be the big story. I certainly think AI is a really buzzy word at the moment. And as an engineer, I would say AI is a little oversold at the moment as far as its capabilities. But I do see a future where this type of technology will continue to be pushed to the forefront to try to help small businesses compete and succeed and thrive in their vocation. So for me, it's all about that kind of technology.
Yeah, I just love that so much because that's the same viewpoint and the same mission that I have. And this tool, more than anything, has really given me a better opportunity to not just implement something for a business, but actually implement something for a business that I can hand over to them and they can actually manage on their own, because
Absolutely.
A lot of the times they've got a smaller budget and it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to pay an agency a lot of money every single month to do some of these things. One of my favorite things to do, we've been doing setup packages. So it kind of comes with like everything start to finish, high-level funnels, but also their ads and their ad account. And we get everything ready for them, show them how to manage it, and then allow them to kind of take the wheels so that they can do it in a much more affordable way, but still get really, really great results. Because I think it's just overwhelming for people when they see how much functionality is really there. And to me, it's super exciting. And I was really able to dive in and pick it up very quickly. I don't know why. I just feel like it's like my home program. There's like those things that you just feel like, hey, I get how this works and I love working with it. And I've found that most people, they have never experienced that, like Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, all these other programs that have quite a bit of functionality, but they are used at about 5% capacity.
Yes, absolutely. That's they never help. The normal story, right? Oh yeah, we use ActiveCampaign. You're like, oh really? Well, let's take a look. Let's see what you're doing. And it's like, oh, you sent an email. Yeah, you sent an email blast one time. Nice. What have you done since then? Oh, nothing. Great.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually the cool part about it. So from the agency can come in, like you said, right? Give them the platform and help them get it going, and know that it's sort of like this seasonal, almost like a seasonal situation where it's like, yeah, you come in, you do some work for them, then boom, you take a break. It gives them a budgetary relax, and then they can come, if you need, you can come back in later, 3 months later, maybe they're like, okay, yeah, can you help us do this other stuff now? It's almost like using the software to create that recurring revenue, but then using the services almost like project work as just, sweetening it, versus trying to come into a small business and saying, yeah, it's going to be $3,000 a month, every month forever. For a lot of businesses, that's just too much.
I know. And that's really where I've seen a lot of people struggle on the agency and the marketing side is, they see all these people talking about how awesome it is to run an agency and how much money they're making. And the people I work with, their heart is with small businesses. They don't want to make the most money in the world working with some other type of business. They want to serve their local communities and businesses just like those in their communities. But they're trying to figure out a way to make it work because they know the budget constraints, depending on the industry they're working with. Restaurants is obviously, they've been hit really hard. And one awesome thing for them is get them a list building strategy and text messaging so they can reach their customers as often as they want to, and you can do it at a really low cost. But this has been something I've been able to help those people with, to allow them to see that, you don't have to take someone's lifetime earnings to grow your business.
That's right.
Can help them, one by one, step by step, and provide an actual thing that helps them make more money. Like, we're not here to just sell them something as an expense. It should be an investment that really will help them. And then they're going to have more revenue to be able to hire you to do that other thing.
Absolutely.
And the training aspect too.
Yeah, I think this is the future of digital agencies. I really do. I think the future of digital agencies is one part service, but also one part technology. And it's coming to the table as a solutions provider. And what I think is, this is the best time to start an agency in my mind, because there are more businesses looking for people to help them than ever before. And like you said, if you can come in and say, hey, you know what? Tell you what, let's get you started on this low cost monthly recurring thing that's going to create instantaneous value for you. And then once that's up and running, and once we're getting you leads and you're growing your business, you're making money, then come back to me and we'll take you to step 2 and we'll do some more. But until then, let's give you something that's very low cost that can get you started right away. Right? That to me is pretty exciting. And I think that's kind of how agencies are going to work in the future. They're going to need to bring those tools to that small business. And I think it's better because if you look at the traditional model of software companies, as a software entrepreneur myself, and have seen this in the past, it's normally like this. You go out, you create a product, you find a customer base, you beat the door down, you get to a place where you can get enough revenue that you get a venture capitalist on board. They come, they fund your business, you stop caring about your customer, you start caring about your funding, and then you literally just rinse and repeat and try to continue that motion. And none of that really helps the end business owner. And I think that's why, local people who can come into a business and help them implement these types of technologies is so critical. And I think that's what's going to be different about the future. I think if we do this right, it's a partnership and it's a way to help that small business without overwhelming them with costs, but also with giving them an option so that when they're ready to do more, they have someone to help them do more, right? Who has that connection and that tie to their business. So I think that's really the future of agencies.
Yeah. And I really love your mindset because it's so accurate. These companies, they are kind of giving their allegiance to the people who aren't ultimately able to benefit from it. And if we lose small businesses, if we lose local businesses, what world do we have? Like, will we no longer communicate with each other in
all
real life?
At the Amazon warehouse. It's not going to be fun.
I know, not at all. And so I think that it's more important than ever, for your platform to really get out there. But, tell me a little bit about where this idea even came from. Was it by looking at what else was out there, or how did you come up with this concept?
I mean, it was mostly by accident.
A happy accident.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, again, I had a prior software company prior to this, and I helped small businesses collect money on past due invoices. And it was really successful. I helped a lot of people collect a lot of money, and small business owners, again, they would get into these situations where they would send out invoices, they would, and then they would get late payments. And by the time the money came in, all the bills came due, and they just got crunched. They would get bankrupt over this. And so it was an awesome experience. I helped a lot of people, but then I kept asking, well, what else can I do? What else do you need? That kind of thing. And they'll sort of said the same thing. They said, we want more customers. We need help growing our business, that kind of thing. And I thought, oh, well, that's great. I'm a software developer. Let me see what I can do. And we created a platform that, that became Highlevel. And I sold it to 30 or 40 businesses. They set up, they saw the demo. They're like, oh, we love it. And then 2 weeks later, they all canceled. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? You said you loved it. I'm like, oh, we do love it, but we just don't have time to actually like implement it or figure it out. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to fail. And then right at that moment, one of the customers had yet to cancel, had a marketing agency call working with them. And they called us and said, hey, listen, we want to see a demo of your platform. And I still remember this day. I was like, oh, why am I meeting with this person? What a waste of my time. What possible value could this be for me? And it's so ironic now because I got on the call with that person. They loved it. They said, oh, I know, I get it. I understand it. That I'm going to sell it to I'm going to buy this right now for me for all my other clients. And then over the preceding weeks, they actually helped us evolve the product. And then and then they introduced us to like more agencies. And then I realized, aha, that's what I was missing. Like these are the unsung heroes of small business, helping these people succeed. And I really need to stop focusing like a traditional software company trying to get the plumber to buy the software. Let's work with the people that can actually help the plumber be successful and enable their success if I really want to help the plumber.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an amazing story because sometimes it is those tiny little things that you have no idea in the moment that they're going to make such a big impact in your life. But that's kind of how I've felt about working with agencies in the last year. Like I never sought to work with other marketers. I was always focused on the small businesses and I didn't want to be like, I'm an agency coaching agencies, like it just feels so
tough,
cheesy.
right? I mean, there could be some stigma there sometimes.
There is, and it just was not what I had done, although I trained a lot of other marketers over the years. But I finally realized that once I started teaching people, like in doing a group coaching program, which was originally just local businesses, I had all these marketers reaching out, wanting help because they wanted to help their clients. They had clients already and they felt like they couldn't serve them to the highest level. And I started to realize, well, okay, if I really want to help small businesses, I can help even more small businesses by helping the marketers helping small businesses.
Absolutely.
And then I saw that they also showed up to every single coaching call. Like the small business owners were there when they needed help with something, but the marketers were so committed to learning all of this. And so I was able to really teach them on a deeper level. And so it's like that ripple effect, that I feel like I've actually wondered because of the way that Highlevel is structured, because it's for agencies, but all of the internals are for the small business. However, I use it, for my own agency really effectively. I did ask myself, I wonder why agencies was the focus. And now it makes total sense, but that's really remarkable. And you're 100% right. I mean, my local business clients, they are very intelligent people that have grown awesome businesses. But when it comes to something like this, it's just simply not how their brain works, or they just really don't have the time to do it. And so, it's just like this amazing thing sitting here in the corner being unused. And it's just tremendous what you can do when you actually turn it on. So tell me a little bit about, the evolution of it when it started. I got on it. I mean, maybe I've been on it for like 2 years. How long has it been?
2 years, 2.5 years. So you got to be early on.
I guess so.
Really, if you think about most businesses, so okay, quick backstory on me. So I was in college, I was going for my cool computer science degree. I was working for a marketing agency that actually was really big and had like 200 employees, and they were doing all these cool web things. And then all of a sudden, this thing called the .com crash happened. You can look it up in the history books. And basically,
I've heard of it.
Exactly. So all of everybody in tech lost their job, including the college intern. And so literally, I was out of a job. I went back. I was living with my parents, like most kids in college. I walked out my front door and I just literally was like knocking doors to try to find a job. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just end up at McDonald's, because who knows? But I found a guy who was transitioning his business into starting an answering service, which super unsexy, but turns out super awesome, because what it was 12 years later, we were helping 5,000 small business owners answer calls that they were missing. And really what that meant was all of these people, and these calls, by the way, for the record, came right in the middle of the day, like 10 a.m. and 8 a.m., not at night, not after hours, right smack in the middle of the day. And it was literally people calling saying, hey, can you help me? And because these business owners were busy, they were missing these calls. They were losing a lot of money. And for a very little amount, we were able to help them reclaim it. It was great. Well, Highlevel sort of started as the same concept. All of these people running ads are generating leads, and then these leads would say, "Hey, I'm interested. I want to give you my money." And the business owners again are out doing whatever it is that they're doing, and they're missing all of this opportunity. And so when you miss that, it doesn't mean that person's no longer interested. It just means they're going to move down the line, and they're actually going to go and find somebody else. And so we started with that simple concept. So it was, hey, when a lead comes in, let's immediately engage them. And then if they don't respond right away, let's continue to talk to them until they do. So that was kind of step one of the platform.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking back on my previous years of experience, like being in the marketing position for a company in-house, I was so proud of my work, and I was so committed to making sure that I saw the financial returns of everything that I was doing. And it does not take long to realize that lead follow-up is the single biggest problem in local businesses. And just yesterday, one of my students, this is another reason why I just love Highlevel. They had just signed on a new client. They're getting everything set up for them. They just got their ads running. And this person actually has a call center. So I've worked with people who also have call centers, and I've still yet to find anything that works better than using Highlevel and a regular employee, because for whatever reason, I don't even know what it is. People assume that if it's a call center, they're always going to do the right thing, and they're always going to answer every call and follow up with every lead. And I've just seen that that's not always the case.
Absolutely.
And so, we wanted to use call booking because I always feel like giving the option for call booking is really important, especially for people that are busy. And, like me, I'm on calls like all day. And so if somebody just calls me out of the blue, so difficult for me to answer. And they turned it down. They were just like, no, just have them call in, and we have a call center, they'll answer. So long story short, text message, communication. And this lead is sitting there saying, hey, I've called. I can't get a hold of anybody. Nobody's reached out to me. I want to buy these new garage doors.
Yeah, there you go.
Can somebody help me? And so it is so eye-opening for a lot of these businesses once they actually get the system that closes the loop, because they never knew about this stuff before. Because how would you? Your employees are answering the phones or doing the follow-up. And again, just from personal experience, it's like nobody wants to admit they've dropped the ball. Nobody wants to admit that they're not following up within 5 minutes, every single time, or that they forgot to call someone back. Nobody wants to do that. So they're not going to bring it up to their manager or the owner.
No.
But then nobody knows about it. And then people are like, is the advertising not working, or the lead's not interested? And so it's like this domino effect of, misinformation that prevents them from making really good decisions to actually grow their business. And so just being able to see that from that lead on that screen for their end and for the agency's end, to be able to say, hey, the call center clearly didn't call them, didn't answer the phone, they want to buy from you. Let's reach out to this person. And so it can become a teaching opportunity for the business. And the transparency of all of that has probably been my favorite part, because I think, life works better when everything is transparent and when people share both sides of the equation fully if they're going to be working together. And so the call tracking is amazing, the call recording, the text messaging, I mean, everything is there, so that even if there's several different employees in the business that are, working inside of it, there's also a clear separation about who's doing what. And hey, if somebody needs to fine tune their own processes, so to speak, we can help them do that, because we can see who's making the calls and who's sending the emails and who's not. And I don't know, I just feel like that ability to have more transparency within their business, sometimes it's not easy to accept, if we're honest, but it's hard to deny it when you see it right in front of you, that these people want to buy from you. And any good business owner, they want that business more than they want to, try and decide who was doing the wrong thing. They just want to fix it,
It's always funny, like think about local service businesses. If you ever ask the average local service business, have you tried Google AdWords? They always say the same thing. yeah, I tried it, didn't work, it's horrible, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll say, well, do you, are you getting leads from somebody? Yeah, I get leads, from Angie's List, and oh, I hate them and they're terrible and all this other stuff. But what's ironic about that is you have to ask yourself, like, where do you think Angie's List gets all their leads? I mean, sure, about 1 out of 1,000 people goes there, but most people go to Google, they type in plumber near me, they click the Angie's List link because Angie's List buys the ad, and then they ultimately then capture the lead and then pass it along. It's terrible because it's just extra friction, right? But why is it that those business owners have such a terrible experience? It's because they don't have the ability to A, capture the lead most of the time, and then B, if they do, the follow-up is horrific. And so by the time they follow up with the leads, the person doesn't answer, they don't get back to them, or if they're kind, they tell them the truth, like, sorry, I went with your competitor because it took you 2 hours to get back to me, and quite frankly, the toilet was overflowing, or the water heater was broken, or the whatever. And so I just needed help, and that's the person who picked it up. So if you as an agency can come in and solve for that issue, I mean, there's just so much business just sitting there for the average local business that they miss every single day. And even if you think about people who don't choose a competitor, just think about how life gets in the way. Like, in that moment, you have this time that you're dedicating to solving this problem. And if you can't solve it within that 5 or 10 minute period, invariably something else is going to come barging in that's going to take your attention away. And now that business lost that opportunity to transact with you. So there's a huge amount there that we can do to help small business.
There really is. And I use that analogy so many times in terms of Facebook and Instagram ads, because that's a huge part of what we do. And so because of this, people are on social media all the time at any moment of any day. I'm sitting in the line of picking up my kid at school. I'm in the waiting room of the doctor's office, wherever you are. So I see the ad. Cool. I need this thing. I opt in. Well, maybe my name is called to go into the doctor, and I've got to shut my phone. So maybe I don't schedule the call, or maybe I don't call in, and maybe you call me, but I can't answer right then.
Yeah.
And if those businesses are doing one call follow-up and never touching base again and never sending another message or another reminder, that's another huge opportunity lost. And
absolutely,
just being able to really show them these things that are not theory, they're actually on a dashboard that they can see with their own eyes. It's been really just transformational for the way that they see their customers and their leads. They no longer look at people as good leads or bad leads. They look at them
as yes, this whole
leads
good leads
that are excited right this moment, or available.
I mean, it's funny because while there are probably a couple of tire kickers out there, or people who fill out ads for fun, there aren't many. I can't imagine many people fill out a form just for the heck of it. I think the whole bad leads concept really is, you're right. They are bad leads. You did a bad job following up with them. So they are no longer interested in your product or your service. But had you gotten back to them instantaneously, this would be a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe a cool next additional feature is some call scripts for them, because they are struggling in that department as well, if we're perfectly honest. But
we do have that on the roadmap here in the near future. I mean,
awesome.
The other thing is, we want to continue. Our goal is in the long term is to make sure that we're helping to capture all of the different channels. This could be things like implementing missed call text back. So when people call the business, that when they don't answer, they get a text back. Google My Business messaging, which is going live next month, so that because I really think that Google is very intent on making sure that you don't leave Google when you search a business, especially local, and messaging is going to be a big part of that future. And so businesses are going to need these tools, and they're going to need someone to help them with these tools. And this is where I think agencies play such a critical role. There's so many platforms, so many choices. And if I'm the small business owner, I just don't have time to figure all this out. I need an expert. I need someone to help me. And that's why I think agencies are so critical to small business success as we go forward.
Yeah. And I think that you're so right with the Google My Business aspect, because, what I try and tell my clients, most of them, they don't even know the phrase. They might have a profile and they might, visually know what it is, but they don't understand that this is actually a separate type of thing. And when I share with them the fact that, hey, this is search marketing, but it's only showing up for high intent keywords in your area of people who are actually looking for what you do. So it's no longer something where, maybe they did try AdWords and they were choosing the wrong phrases that were more informational, top of the funnel type of thing. That, I mean, it's good to have if you've got a strategy behind it, but it's not necessarily going to bring a lead in. But these are people in your area that need you. And if you can be there, I mean, you don't even have to pay for it as long as your profile is showing up for the right things.
Absolutely.
And then ads on top of that to make sure that you're showing up for all of those right terms. I think it's going to be just more and more important. And I kind of tell people, whatever Google is pushing, just go with it, because
Yeah.
they're going to, encourage that type of behavior if
Oh,
they're
absolutely. And
on a
Google is
search.
absolutely out to eliminate people leaving Google. So, 50% of all Google searches today land back. The next click is on a Google property. So that could be AdWords.
Yeah.
That could be the new local service ads, which have been rolling out, that I think are going to be big this year. It could be your Google My Business profile. It could be it could be the map pack. I mean, they're, very large SEO agencies that we work with. They see 50 to 70% of all the calls to a business now through call tracking coming off the Google My Business profile specifically. So, I mean, it's just more and more and more as a local service business, that Google My Business profile is the best place to get free leads, to show your business off, to really put a focus on. And then from there, I think the natural next step is, how do you make sure you're capturing that traffic, capturing those leads, and getting back to those people? Because that's how you're going to close those sales.
Yeah. And what's been really, really interesting for me personally to see since using Highlevel is, like I mentioned, we do Google My Business, things like that, but so much of what I focus on is Facebook and Instagram. Well, typically not running click to call ads. We're running, things that someone fills out a form and then they're going to some type of call booking or appointment booking. And you don't really think about the fact that people are also calling in from those ads.
That's
And
right.
so being able to really see, hey, we have these campaigns going. They have zero focus on having someone call, yet
Yep.
you are getting 50, 60 calls per month from people on top of the leads that you're already getting.
Well, and think about calls. I mean, those are the highest intent types of interactions you could imagine, because as you already described, you can't just take a call whenever. You have to be in a place where you can focus and concentrate, right? So you have to crowd everything else out in order to have that phone call. So for that, when that phone rings, that is the best lead, right? That is the best opportunity for a business. And so not having, visibility first and foremost into the fact that you're getting those calls or not, and how many you're missing, that's just such a massive mistake. And it's a very cheap and easy thing to fix. And having it interwoven into Highlevel as a platform, and having then the capacity as an agency to either implement missed call text back, or even just to show your client, hey, look, you're missing all of these calls. Like, that's massive, right? And you can really help those small business owners, do some amazing things for very little money.
Yeah, I just really, I get excited talking about this because I know that what you've already done is so amazing. But like I mentioned before, you guys have been one of the best companies I've ever seen in terms of implementing new features on a regular basis that the users are actually looking for. So how do you guys determine what it is that you're going to add next?
Yeah, so I mean, we do a lot of different things. The biggest thing we do is we have an ideas list where anybody can contribute to those ideas. As we've gone along, I will say we recognize that there are more experienced marketers and less experienced marketers. So we do try to really listen to some of the larger, more experienced folks, and give them a little more weight in their ideas. Just because if you have 100 clients and you're probably a little more experienced than someone else, and so maybe your ideas are hold a little more value. And so I think that's important. And then the other thing is, also we try not to dictate to our clients. One thing we are very passionate about, though, is SaaS and turning agencies into software companies. We really see this as the future for agencies. If you really want to help a small business, you need to bring everything to the table for those people. And I think that there is a war on out there. And I don't think most agencies quite realize it, because, but if you look behind most software companies, many of them have hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. And I have to tell you, that money does not go into engineering. That money goes into sales. Those monies go into cold calls and Google ads and everything else. And those people are bent on trying to take a portion of that small business's monthly income. And I don't think their best interest is to help those people. And so we really feel passionately about trying to change that game and enable agencies, really weaponize agencies with that same technology. Because where agencies get kind of ranked today is, when that person says, oh, great, but do you have reputation management, or do you have two-way text messaging, or do you have web chat, or do you have, do you have a CRM? You're like, oh, shoot, no. And, we want to change that. And that's what we're doing, right? We want to say, oh, of course I do. I've got all those things. Don't even worry. You don't even talk to those people. I've got all the tools you need right here. Plus, as importantly, I can help you make it all work. Versus those people, as soon as they get your money and as soon as you sign that contract, they're out, they're done. You can talk to tech support. Good luck. And I think that's what makes agencies special and different.
I agree. It really is that human connection that's missing because, like we talked about with some of those larger platforms, that's the reason that people are using this tiny little fraction of functionality because they don't have somebody to walk them through it. They
That's
don't
right.
have any help or support. And there are certain people that you can find to help you with this. But one of my favorite things has been talking to them about the strategy first, because it is such a customizable platform in every way that you've got to have a strategy before it's really going to work well for
That's
you.
right. Well, there's no one size fits all, right? And
Exactly.
and that's the whole idea. When you get a professional in there who knows what they're doing, like we want to give them room to move. So if you want to like make 2 phone calls, send a text message, and then send out a postcard, great. We want to make that happen for you. If direct mail is a thing for that business, awesome. If there's some other thing that you need to do, great. Let's do that too. Like we want to make sure we enable people in every possible way.
Well, you've been doing a great job of it. I mean, in terms of the funnel side, so obviously one really amazing feature has been the ability to import your existing funnels from ClickFunnels and pull them into Highlevel. So, when I first started thinking about switching platforms, of course, that's one of the first considerations. And I'll be perfectly honest, I've still got some of my funnels there because it is a task to try and get everything.
Yeah, it's not easy for sure.
It's not, but really, it is so easy in terms of setting it up from scratch. So for me, I just have far more funnels than the average Joe, but all of my clients, all of my students, getting them set up on this, it's as simple as possible. And all of my existing templates that I would share with them, turn them into Highlevel templates, gave them the share links for both of them. But I mean, ultimately, everybody ends up on this platform, not because I am an affiliate marketer and I'm trying to push people in a certain direction. In all honesty, like I have zero interest in that, but I do care about people getting the best results and using something that's going to be the most cost effective for them and something that will help them in all of the areas that they need. So I know for a lot of people, that's kind of a selling point because if you are into funnels, that's a very logical place to have them. And so tell me about how you guys were actually able to integrate that feature of pulling those over. Was that
sure. I mean, it's all that's where you get really nerdy in the engineering, but I mean, it's literally just, mapping things over. I mean, all the code on our side is our own. And so you literally are just sort of having to custom do it. It's why you can't just do any funnel platform. All of that work has to be done. And it changes, right? So you always have to be updating it and everything else. But, it was really important to me because I think that the funnel platforms in general are really just, they should be called the top of the funnel platforms because that's what they are. They're the capture point. And it's super important. Don't get me wrong. If you don't capture leads, and I think most people don't, it's an awesome place to start. But we just realized no, it's capture, nurture, close, right? You need that entire funnel to really come down here at the bottom where the sale happens. And we wanted that to be in one spot and we wanted it to be easy. And so that's what we set out to do.
I do know that a lot of people are really loving your funnel platform. For me, one of the things is having to use a third-party automation tool between any 2 platforms. It just makes it an additional layer of difficult. If something goes wrong, you've got an extra place you have to check to try and diagnose issues. And really for the local business owner, trying to get them to do all of that, far more complex.
Well, there you
Marketers
go.
can do it,
Of course, absolutely, right? So so all in one, I think is the way to go. I mean, I think the promise of things like Zapier and so forth sounded really good when it came out, but I think if you've used them long enough, you realize, it's okay. It's a lot better than nothing, but it's still a pain in the neck when things go wrong. And so it's nice when you don't have to deal with it. And so, for local business and for agencies, we focused on making all the tasks and all the items they use all in one spot so they don't have to do that. And I feel like that's still the better direction. And I'm happy we took that route.
No, I agree. And one of the things we're working on doing right now is, we have these pretty extensive Zaps for new clients or new students. They would fill out a Google form and 15 different things would happen. And it's like, why am I just not using my Highlevel forms for all of this stuff? So, it takes a little bit of time to get all of it together and put it in there. But once you do, it is totally more simple. I mean, for me, when something does go wrong with those Zaps, I'm hard pressed that my team is going to figure out the issue. I can look at it and see what's wrong with it, but there's a lot of stuff going in there and a lot of additional selections that you've got to make and a lot more technical looking.
Yeah, it's harder than most people think. And, I mean, I help people debug their stuff all the time and always be like, oh, did you check the Zap task history? And people are like, the what? And I'm like, oh yeah, there's this little icon on the side. It'll show you all the different executions and and they're just like, wow, I had no idea, right? So, even people who use Zapier every single day, when it breaks, a lot of times they're just like, I don't know. So yeah, it's tough and it's a challenge and it's a pain. And what do you do if you don't know how to fix it? Yeah. So I think it's just better if you could skip all that, just because it is a layer of complexity that hopefully you don't need.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like the only thing that you guys are really missing is like your own personal payment processor. But I mean, you've got Stripe.
Payments will be coming soon.
Are you? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, I think again, so thinking back on what the small business needs, I do think adding in payments, and we'll probably use Stripe to begin with just because it's accessible. But I love the idea of just being able to say, I need to request $500 from this person, right? And just shoot them off a link. They click it pops up. It's got the $500, the description for whatever it is that they're paying for, and boom, 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 they put in their credit card and I get paid as a small business. I think that piece is going to be super important this year. We'll probably have it out the first quarter or the second quarter at the latest. And I think it'll be something it'll start off simple, but again, I don't think a lot of businesses need complexity. I think they need just easy ways to do things. And that's what we're going to focus on. And again, just be that one-stop shop for that small business. Give them quick and easy results, fast to value, very inexpensive. That works for most people.
I am actually like way too excited to hear that, if I'm honest, because I've been talking to a lot of people lately about, in my opinion, the need for additional payment processors as a backup, as something that people can kind of depend on, truthfully, with really any platform. I mean, you don't know when they're going to kick you off. You don't know when your account's going to be frozen. And the payment processor is the most important thing.
Totally. Yeah.
How can you, I mean, if your ability to take money was impeded, especially in the economic circumstances that we're currently in, I mean, you are going to be in a seriously bad position. And most people have no idea where else to turn outside of like the biggest names that are out there. And, I think that it's really just important for people to have more options. And the fact that it's going to be integrated into a system that's already super successful, that already cares about those small businesses and their success, most importantly, that gives me a lot of hope, in all honesty. I mean, like I said, I'm probably like way too hyped over here, but it's been something I've been thinking about a lot. And
yeah, payments are going to be next. Yeah. So we're rolling out, I mean, our first thing is we're rolling out payments on the agency side, so agencies can collect from their clients.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important. And then we'll roll the same you use some of that same code and that same experience to roll payments out to the locations and the small businesses as well. Because yeah, I mean, everybody needs cheap and easy payments. I do hope in the long-term payments changes more fundamentally. I hope we do get in, where a little more direct, a little less middle person kind of thing. But in the meantime, we should certainly try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I don't think I asked you, where did all the growth from Highlevel come from? I mean, was it really like a grassroots type of?
It is awesome. Our community is by far and away our best asset. I mean, I seriously think we're on a mission. We're on a mission to do something different and be in a partnership with our customers. Unlike other software companies, we don't see agencies as like a sales channel, like where we think we're like going to go like raid them or something for the customers. Agencies are our customers. And we think that our message is really simple. Look, if we can help enable you to be successul, right? Even if at the end of the day, we could have taken another route, raised a bunch of money and got a big valuation or whatever that is. Even if in the long term, we don't reach those heights, I think the world is a big place and everyone can be successful. And at the heart of it, if you're truly trying to help the small business owner, the people in the equation must care. And in the current scenarios, all of the large software platforms that serve small businesses, 98% of them are venture backed. And I hate to break it to everybody, those venture capitalists, those PE firms, they don't actually give a darn about those small business owners. They care about, can they take that company? Can they flip it to the public market? Can they sell it to another company? Can they get a return? It's a very numbers driven game, and it has nothing to do with whether or not the small business owner survives. And I think that is a problem.
It is a problem. It's a huge
and so we want to do this differently. And we know the agencies care. We know the agencies can create that value. So for us, it's a partnership, and it's been a grassroots effort. It's agencies telling other agencies about Highlevel. That's how we're here. That's why we're growing. And that's the way I like it. That's the way I want it. And I think it's the right way to grow a business.
I mean, it means you're doing something extremely right when your customers are your greatest advocates. So do you guys currently have any type of certification program that people?
Gosh, we were right there on the cusp of launching it when COVID hit. So, as COVID abates, and I think it will, and I think this year is going to be great for everybody, especially small business. I think they're going to come back strong. We will come back to that as well. But in some sense, I think that's good because it's given us an opportunity to focus on building out the platform more, adding more things that are going to help the small business. So yes, we will have a certification program, but no, we will not have it out until until we can have a nice, we want to have an in-person training and an event later this year and that kind of thing, and really celebrate marketing agencies, celebrate the value that they're bringing to their clients, create a learning opportunity for people, bring people together in a positive way. And then we'll add our certification program on top of that.
I think that's awesome. Well, if you want any help, let me know. Always.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
That would be so fun.
Oh, we're the last people to know how to do all that stuff. So and again, this is the great thing about having a community.
Yeah.
All the things you're not good at, they are. So you go out to those people and you say, hey, just help us out. And it's amazing how many talented folks you can find who know how to do this way better than you do. So we're all ears.
I think you guys are great. I mean, honestly, after having taught this really heavily for the last year or so, I definitely have personally gained a lot more insight on what people need versus what they don't need in terms of knowledge base. Sometimes it's less is so much more. And so really trying to focus on giving people things in very simple bite-sized chunks has been incredibly helpful for me. And in turn, my clients or students recently, because it does so much. But if you can simply understand how each of these things can truly help you and how it applies to your specific business, and a few of the nuances here and there in terms of settings and the way that things work together. If you can just kind of get those concepts down, it becomes a lot more simple. So
I agree. I totally agree. Don't worry though. We have simplification for us is really going to be a theme this year. So things will get easier. The workflow builder is coming out soon, but I still think no matter how simple the software ever is, I still think what you're doing is awesome, because I think that training more people to help small businesses, that's fantastic. That's great work. I think we need more of that, because it's only going to get harder. It's only going to be more technological out there. These small business owners are going to need help more and more every single day, and they're not going to be able to figure it out on their own because of this ever-growing complexity. On top of, by the way, let's all remember, these small business owners, if they're doing a good job, there's complexity within what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
They're learning the things that they're supposed to be providing and are providing, and we want them to stay there, right? You don't want the dentist to stop learning the new dental techniques so that they can come learn marketing.
Absolutely.
That would be crazy, right? So we need more digital marketers and more digital marketing agencies out in the local community, helping all of these people implement these new technologies. And so you providing that and trying to help find those people and motivate those people and grow those people, I think is amazing.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a great mission, and I'm glad we're on the same team trying to create the little agency army, the marketing militia.
Exactly.
For small businesses.
This is going to be our year. I'm excited. We're taking over. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. But we need a lot more people to rally with us and get the word out. And, it's tech companies or e-commerce companies, they've seen such explosive growth in the last year because everybody's been forced to stay at home, and they've got plenty of money. People go support your small businesses.
Totally. Go local. Absolutely. And digital marketers are going to be a big part of that.
Yeah. And I'm excited to, help whatever portion of that world that I can. So I really, really, really appreciate your time.
Of course.
If you have one fun fact, piece of advice, could be anything that you want to share with the audience.
Gosh,
what would it be?
I would just say, get excited for this year. Stay in there, stay strong, stay committed. It's going to be an awesome year. Even if right now you're in a slow start and things aren't where you want it to be, I just think, look, you got to look forward. I mean, I think COVID is going to abate. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen next month, but we're going in the right direction, right? Yeah. I think this is going to be an awesome year. And as it is, you got to stay in there. You got to stay strong and just keep pushing.
Absolutely. So Shaun, if people want to learn more about Highlevel or about you, where can they go to find you?
gohighlevel.com. That's us. Come check us out. Or, obviously you might have a link or two, I don't know, in the description below.
Got a handful.
But yeah, definitely. Or, the other thing is if you want a lot of information and you want to really dive deep, go to YouTube and search Highlevel, all one word, tons of videos there. So if you don't like what you see on the website, you want more, YouTube is also a great place.
Oh, and I'm coming for the high-level keywords on YouTube. So watch out for me. Watch out for me.
I love it.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been great. Have a wonderful evening. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.